a minute to get in. A week later. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about we'll talk about what's happened since the last stream. We'll go over what the team's been working on. Roughly. Don't want to give too much details because it's all future update based. And then we are ourselves going to be working on fixing a few bugs and balance issues that have come up recently, fairly recently. I'll be going over and we'll be seeing what we can do about all of those. Alright, half nerd. Good to have you with us. Yes, my hair is shorter. I'm in the fortunate position where my mother is living with us at the minute whilst my wife is preparing to have the baby. So my mother's actually cut my hair today. So basically my mother's living here, so when the baby comes, my daughter has someone to look after her whilst we're in the hospital. So yes, I'm one of the few lucky ones that have managed to have a haircut during lockdown. Right. Okay. So I've got a list of issues on Trello. Which is what we use. So let's have a look what we've got. Let's pick an issue. So what I'm going to be doing today is going through these issues that have been reported one at a time and seeing what we can do about them. We won't be able to do them all, but okay. So first of all, the other foot level. That's what I'm on here. Received a chunk of feedback. So the opponent colony feels weak compared to the attack waves. So this is specifically for medium mode. I think on medium mode they are significantly weaker. I'm going to be wearing glasses a bit because I've noticed my eyes are getting tired more. These days, one of the happenings of getting older a little bit. I need my reading glasses more. I barely ever wear my reading glasses, but it's getting hard now. Like, particularly in dull light, I can't read my phone very well. Quick question about last stream. In Tug of War, do the Leafcutter Major ants have stun or taunt? I remember you talking about this. We had I've noticed that taunt majors do not have the level 3 high resistance in this level. In which level? In the other foot level. I can have a look at that. I can't remember which one they have in Tug of War. I'll have a look in a bit. I'm not doing that right now. But you mean, Christ Scientist, you mean on the other foot level they don't have the high resistance? Maybe I'll take a look at that one. Anyway, we're going to start by having a look at some of this stuff. Okay, so enemy starting resources on normal is 300 compared to 1,100 on hard and 2,000 on insane. It will melt level 3 at mages regardless of high defense. That's true. Once the army ant mages have got up to speed, that once they've got their damage buff going, it really impacts everything because it increases the damage of everything nearby, and there is a cap to it, but I think the cap is pretty high. So they can increase damage of nearby creatures hugely. I can have a look at the cap briefly. I reckon it's in the range of like 40 damage, which is huge. Uh, 45. So they can increase creatures' damage by up to 45. Now considering... I think you're... have a quick look in the creature stat document. So your army ants, your little army ants do like at level 3 do 6 damage per hit, which can be increased by 45. So yeah, if you get them up high, you really want to stand back from them. Well, it's your creatures, so the enemy really wants to stand back from them. Yeah, it's probably a bit low. It's a bit funny this, because it's not this section of the level isn't the whole level, so I didn't want you to start this section and then be wiped out and feel like you've just wasted a load of time. So it's kind of getting the right balance. Maybe 500 needs to be the normal. Right, so what I'll do is I'll increase mediums. I'll increase the potency of medium and reduce the wave difficulty in medium. So we're hitting it from both angles. How did hard feel? The constant food that drops is it's dependent on who has the middle of the map, who gets it, and it increases each drop. So it does actually ramp up. If it takes you a while to win, it will ramp up, so it becomes more and more relevant. Hard felt unbeatable. Okay. Whips Brooders. Oh, you mean the waves felt unbeatable? You couldn't get past the wave part. Is that right? to rely on the queen. Yeah, you do have to rely on the queen ability for the first waves. But that's okay because it recharges by the time the second waves comes. I don't mind having to rely on that as such, but maybe what I should be doing is reducing the waves difficulty across the board here. I don't think there's anything wrong with the bar rates. I think they're fine at the minute. Right, let's. Thought I needed more food. Whip spiders were too intense. Even with 3,800 plus food. Right, so what I'm getting here is that the waves section of hard needs to reduce in difficulty. And the wave section in normal needs to reduce probably. So we probably want to increase food, reduce numbers slightly. As rewards. Okay, so wave size scalar multiplier. There's a lot of different aspects at play here, so there's lots of things we can play with. But right, so we need to give more food in hard. Shrink the waves in normal. I think that's what I'm getting from this. So you didn't particularly need more food in normal, but the waves could have been doing with being smaller. So shrink the waves in normal. Hard. Okay, so I'm going to increase rewards by. How much is 25%? So the small reward times 1.25 equals 62. Okay, so I think we can do that. I think I can increase rewards by 25% for both hard and insane. So let's do that. GP63. We know what that'll be. $188. Oh, I should have known what that would be. Could have guessed that one as well. Do the same for insane. I'm going to reduce the wave size slightly on insane as well. Maybe I'll reduce it slightly on here as well. Okay, coming back to chat. You can get around about 11 up to level 3. Oh yeah, if you level them up to level 3, they give 3 times the amount, don't they? But they cost the same. Interesting. Refund for selling ants into the tube can help. I don't think there's. I mean, adjusting the rewards is essentially a refund because you do get food constantly. But I see what you mean though. Keeping the tube supplied on harder modes costs more. I can make the bar drop less. Right. Okay, so the bar's dropping 0.008. So I could do 0.0. Zero 0.095. So that's slightly less. 151.3. So the bar drops less there. Okay, we've made a few changes there. We still don't know what the difficulty of the final attack waves is. And hard and insane because you were struggling to get there, but I don't think we can judge that just yet. So let's save this. My strat was not building the small army ants. Do you think they're a waste? They might be actually. I gave them the player as the first creature to build because I realised they're not that interesting. They're essentially just a weak unit. They're cheap, but they're very susceptible to AoE hits. Anyway, we've made some changes now. So I'm gonna submit this to the source control. Write down the changes. Okay. What do we do? We reduced wave size slightly. We increased wave size slightly on medium and hard. Wave size and medium, hard and insane. Increased rewards on medium, hard and insane. 25%. I think it was just that, wasn't it? We changed the wave size and reward. Then gave enemy column 200 more starting resources. Okay. We'll see what that does. I was just on medium. Anyway, coming back to chat. Right, so the small army ants cost too much to respawn for. Yeah, unfortunately, changing the spawn cost of them is affects the formicarium level. I can't change the spawn cost of them. I think it's 4, isn't it? With that, I think they are slightly more expensive than I'd expect based on their stats. 5 is a little high. I think their respawn cost is 4. Maybe they are overcosted. I mean, it won't affect balance that much if I change it slightly, but it will affect balance. If I make them cheaper, it will make Formicarium Challenge 3 harder, because the computer will have more resources. So you'd either have to rebalance it or just accept that it's harder. It's 40 to build, 5 to hatch, is it? Yeah, it does seem a bit expensive. That's the reason they're 5 to hatch is because they were based on black ants. It's the same reason why trapjaws are cheap to hatch. Why I had to up their initial investment. It kind of makes them interesting as a unit now, I think, because they've got such a low hatch cost. But yeah, I think you're right. I think the army ants. I think we can get away with that, with changing the hatch cost to 3, maybe. Is 3 right? Yeah, I think it might have done. I can't remember when though. It's hard to keep track of all these changes. Right, let's try making the hatch cost 3. We'll see what happens. You can give the Formicarium challenge a go and tell me if it's too hard. Circ Rush intensifies. Yeah, it does a bit. Does it kind of give them a place if they got hatch cost 3? Because it makes them. You've got to pay an initial investment into them, and then they're fodder. Let's give it a go. do tell me pretty quickly if. Because I'm hoping to have this patch out by the end of the week. Do tell me quickly if it's messed up the challenge. I think that's the only thing that it will affect. Okay, let me just do this. I'm trying to be a bit quiet because my daughter's having a nap next door. Don't want to wake her. Okay, so I haven't added the new stuff into the, oh, you can't see this anyway, so it doesn't matter. Army ant hatch. Yep, 5. Okay, so they've been changed to 3. Let's hope it doesn't mess up the game. Okay. Sounds like my daughter's waking up. Okay. Change through is pretty easy and insane if you know what you're doing. Yeah. Well, I think you've got to figure that out though in the first place. Though I think challenge 3's all right. It's not. It's difficult the first time you attempt it because you don't know what's going on, and I'm reluctant to make it any more difficult because some people really struggle with it because they can't figure out. I mean, you really need to figure out all the little intricacies of the level. So, what triggers the hand coming down? What triggers things spawning in your nest? Spawning to attack your nest. What the enemy with its queen ability, that sort of thing. Mostly abuse of the nest entrance. Oh, do you mean just hang by your nest entrance, or I'll just hang underneath, under the ground and slaughter things as they come in? Yeah, it's a funny one, the nest entrance issue. Just destroy everything as it comes out. Oh yeah, loitering around the enemy's nest entrance. I think I don't think he can squish you if you're doing that. Or maybe you just trigger the squish and then go do it. Yeah, I should use a different exit in that case. It's one of the gripes we've got with our current system is that there's only one nest exit, and it creates issues for us in level design as well. Although most of the level design we do now requires you to leave your nest, so you can't just camp. But you can't be attacked from multiple angles, apart from the underground levels. I think if we rebuild the game, or if we do a sequel at some point, multiple nest exits will definitely be on the cards. So you can be attacked from multiple angles as well as so you can attack from multiple angles. Keeping evasive workers in their nest prevents the squish attack. What, are just keeping evasive workers on the surface? Ah. Well, does that cause the finger to try and squish the evasive workers and it doesn't kill them? I think evasive workers is also on my list here. Someone brought it up in the... Right, I'm going to mark this as resolved because we've changed some things about the other foot now. We can decide in a bit. Okay, so I've got here balance passive worker abilities. I haven't given any other information because I think we need to decide this ourselves. Evasive Workers right in front of my front line of mortar. What else protects them? Do I keep attacks off? That's interesting. So you basically you're basically there tanking 95% of hits. Yeah, I think it's time it took a nerf. Evasive. Not to mention it's the only real viable option. The other option's not worth taking. I'm just gonna get myself another coffee. I'll be back in a minute, and then we're gonna take a look at these worker abilities. Right. Let's talk about evasive workers. Okay, so when we talk about this, I'm going to talk about design philosophy. What's gone wrong? how we can fix it whilst maintaining the original vision, as much of the original vision as we can. Okay, so first of all, evasive workers. You can probably guess what the design of them was about. They were meant to be able to gather food from the front line whilst combat's going on. So the idea is that you give them evasive, you send them to where the enemies are dying, and they can pick up corpses and things safely without getting hit, or maybe only hit every now and then. Now the implementation of that, which gives them a 95% chance to avoid damage if they're not in combat. It's clearly open to abuse because it's being abused a bit, and they're making them possibly definitely the most efficient tanks in the game. So you turn combat off and you plonk them in front of your ranged units. They are soaking up 19 in 20 hits. So on average, they'll get hit about halfway through those 20 hits, roughly. So after about 10 hits, so they are absorbing 10 hits worth of damage for 2 food, which makes them incredibly good tanks against powerful enemies. So something like a beach wolf spider biting the creature will there's a huge amount of damage that's gone there. You're right, well, Copter. Heard my voice in so long. I think we can make the opponent's workers attack yours if you get some in the nest, making them ignore egg placement tasks. Right. So you get evasive workers into their nest. Does that break the finger entirely? Does it just stop the finger working? Workers are very fast and return very quickly. Yeah. So they were meant to be able to gather food from the front line. During combat. Now, how low can we set evasion? Right, we can either fix this by reducing the evasion quantity. So rather than tanking 10 hits, they tank 2, for example. So if you put it at 50%, they'll either tank 1 or 2 hits on average. You could do it, or you could also change the way that the ability works, or give them or reduce it. You could change the way it works. So you could do something along the lines of visual distance to them is reduced, so enemies don't see them as much. Maybe a combination. So you massively reduce the evasion amount to say 40%, but also reduce the visual range, so enemies won't try and attack them normally. And the way you do that is give them camouflage. Okay, coming back to chat for a second. Does it break the finger? Oh, jeez. So yeah, so it completely breaks the finger. Still have a chance. Maybe it'd be an ability with 100%, but needs a recharge. Maybe 2 or 3 times max. That's another option. So you could, yeah. So you could change it. So I mean that would be a very set thing then. Yeah, so if you give the workers camouflage, they won't disappear from your mini-map, but they'll disappear from enemies' mini-maps, but that's neither here nor there, because enemies don't have mini-maps in our current build of the game. There's no multiplayer. But camouflage also reduces visual distance to the target. Let's have a look at the code where camouflage comes into play. One sec. Let me just check that. Yeah, it's picking up Visual Studio. Okay, so if I've got so what are we in here? We're in nearest enemy creature. Okay, so camouflaged is part of nearest enemy creature. It's part of this camouflage constant. So if the nearest enemy creature is not camouflaged, or nearest enemy creatures in combat, or the distance to the creature is less than the camo constant. Now, what's the camo constant? Camo constant is target radius divided by 3. Okay, so yeah, so it reduces visual range to the creature. Yeah, it's used a couple of times in some of the other scan functions. I think this is promising. So camouflage means the enemy's visual distance to them is reduced to target radius divided by 3. So it's reduced to a third of what it is. So they won't be able to see the creature unless it was much closer. Right, what are you saying, Huff? So you're on about workers not targetable if other non-worker targets are within visual range. I think that would be a bit involved, because camouflage is already set up in the engine. I can easily flag it on for a creature. So only work for any soldiers nearby. Together mid-combat, as long as there are other things to fight the... Oh, I see. So you can't... I see what you mean, although I don't think I want to go down that road, because that's a little bit complicated for a single ability. I think we do a serious nerf to it, and we give them camouflage. That is what I think we're going to do for now, and we'll see where that leaves us. Basically, that will cause. It should have a similar effect to combat gathering, although they'll be slightly worse, because if they're actually right where the enemy's attacking, camouflage won't do anything. But it'll help if they're slightly behind the front line. But it will definitely be worse, especially if we do something like reduce it to 40%. But it's clearly too high at the minute. Maybe 60%'s about right. Okay, let's not go for the. Let's do 60%. Okay, so we're going to set. Their evasion value to 60% rather than 95%. And give them camouflage. I can do that really simply. We've changed from workers nurseries to major ant nurseries. Hopefully that'll be the effect that it has on people. Let me bring you back into Visual Studio whilst I do this. It's a really simple change, so you may as well see what I'm doing. Okay, I need to check out creature from the source control. We'll see what effect this has on people, because 60%. You never know; it might actually not be enough, but we'll wait and see. Someone else's creature checked out at the minute. Liam's got it checked out. Well, he can merge. Okay, so. This is right. It's called, says it's strong mandibles here because that's what it used to be before it just got changed entirely. So rather than evasion 95, evasion 0.6. Right, that should be it. That should be all that needs doing there. Now, of course, I've got to document it, which is part of the faff when you've got... Yeah. See, the camouflage should be quite useful in different scenarios. So you might be able to send them out on sneaky missions to grab food and avoid enemies because it'll reduce their visual distance to them. So they'll be useful in those scenarios as well, but they won't work as tanks anymore. They shouldn't work as tanks. Reducing it from 95% to 60% is more like they'll tank 2 to 3 hits rather than 10 hits. So now there's another worker ability here. It's a bit funny, this one. Gives them a 20% reduction in damage, and they can only take maximum of 20 damage a hit. Now that's the one you're putting against evasion. I still think you go with evasive, because I think this is only really useful if you're trying the vanilla challenge. Still, it's fine for now. I'm not going to make more work for myself. Let's revisit that at some other point. Right, coming back to chat. Stun mages and mortars are almost as good as workers and mortars, especially when army ant mages are getting their bonus active. Oh, today I think I saw someone on the black ant soldier melee animation. I saw something on the black ant soldier melee animation where their head in the combat animation loop warps a tiny bit. Oh, is this something wrong with the black ant animation? Combat animation. Make sure you put a post about it if you spot it, so we can log it properly. Not sure yet. Oh, we can have a quick look. Static mesh. I don't think static mesh is what I'm after. We can have a look at the Queen model as well. Yeah, static mesh wasn't what I was after. I think it's this. Right, so its attacks are that looks fine. Seems fine to me. Oh. It jumps a little bit there. Maybe that's what you're referring to. Like, that on loop doesn't really work. Although I'm not sure if that matters, because the animations might blend into one another. Might not matter. Looks fishy. Yeah, there's probably... Alright, let's have a So a quick look at the latest posts on the forum. One of them slipped through the cracks somewhere. I can't see it. Oh, you sent me a link. Mike has been notified. Today we present a unique development. You can yeah, that's spam bot, definitely. Funny how these things operate. He's got one message. Sorry, I'll just where's the band member? Oh, I don't want to. It's not that. There's a way of flagging it as spam, and it just completely removes everything they've ever been involved with. Maybe band members what I need. Oh, that doesn't seem right. I'm sure Mike's on it. Yeah, they probably would. Don't know why they're thinking Counter-Strike Go players will be hanging around on the forum, but there we go. Okay, so I'll bring you back into the engine. Okay, so the Black Ant animations, that one looks a bit jumpy. I'm not sure if it's meant to. I'll mention it to Matt. I'll just mention it to Matt now so I don't forget. Okay, I've mentioned it to him. Now I'll come back to that after the stream. Okay, so leaving that for now. Where were we? I need to. The text on evasion needs to change. I'm just going to change it, then it will have to wait for an extra translator pass in order to actually work for people. But it will get there eventually. So blueprints, no, assets, data, it's called, what's it called? Tech tree content. I think it's tech tree content. Okay. It's one of the worker abilities. Evasive, there it is. Right, so I'm just going to change this and it'll break, and there's a 60% chance of causing no damage. And can be, and enemies must be closer to see it. Right, so that's changed. So whilst not in combat, attacks against the worker have a 60% chance of causing no damage, and he must be closer to see it. So, yeah, that's fine. Okay, there's something else I wanted to change in here, which is taunt leaf cutters. No, that's all right. No, it's all right. I haven't looked into any crashes as of yet. I will go through the crash files, see what we can dig up. I'll have a look on the forum for crashes after this. I don't like going through crashes during stream because it's can be a bit fiddly, depending what the nature of the crash is. Anyway, let's save that because I've changed it. Okay. I'm going to submit that. Unfortunately, that's going to break the translation in a lot of languages, but it'll get translated eventually. It's the way I have to. Okay. Okay, so we've nerfed evasion. It's done. Okay. Not dealing with that yet. Going on floating food value numbers on the other foot. Floating food value numbers on the other foot. Okay, I'll see what this is. Well, it's one of your ones, Huff. check the recording. See the food values floating up at some point while the food is being dropped. God, that was weird. That might be some sort of change to how the... God, what's going on there? Right. Okay. Is food, it falls up. Hallelujah. Right. Let's run a test then, shall we? Right. Whatever I do, don't save this version of the map because I'm about to mess around with it. Begin open. Open level blueprint. Right, so I'm looking for the reward food. Spawn seeds, there we are. When I press the right bracket, we're going to spawn a large reward. Did this just happen once, or was it common?
Come on now, my little ants. You need space to grow. Dig, dig, dig!
I'm sorry, what was that?
I wasn't talking to you.
Is it feeding time already?
Yes, our queen is insatiable.
I think this time
Well,
I can
it's not going to be that easy to figure out, unfortunately.
I want to see how these raptors respond under pressure.
I will.
What's your video again? God, that's so weird. It's not really my area.
I wonder how they will react to a rival erector.
I'm assuming it only happened once. Food was falling somewhere else at the time I looked here. No, the lower part euphormicarium's off to the side somewhere, so it shouldn't. I don't know. I just don't know. think you've seen it somewhere else? Right. Well, I'll keep that in mind. I'm not digging into that one right at this minute. Oh, yeah. This one. Creatures that do not wander can get stuck in the nest entrance. Oh, this one's a frustrating one. How did you get the nest group to have a placeable food marker? By doing it by the map, it creates a grey marker.
Is it feeding time already?
Yes, our queen is insatiable.
Huh. Well done, Huff.
I think it is time we connected the outworld to the feeder colonies. I want to see how these eruptors respond under pressure.
Okay,
Our eruptors have neutralized the threat to their queen.
so how do we deal with this?
Continue the experiment and let me know the results. Don't add more than 30 ants. We don't want to harm the queen.
Understood. I wonder how they will react to a rival eruptor.
Let's follow it through, see what happens. Amazing how easy that is to do. Okay, it's meant to give the
Come on now, my little ants.
nest group message. Cannot place markers for nest group. Select another group.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I wasn't talking to you.
I think that message comes from code somewhere. It comes from you, underground tile. Apparently it doesn't. Right, I need to figure out where that message comes from. One sec. Right, I'm also just gonna check that this works. So cannot place for next group neutral UI text enter 5.5. Right, I think if I copy that into here, it'll link it. Maybe I can copy that as well. No, I can't. Oh, hang on. Yeah, so. Oh, well. That'll probably have to be translated at some point. Okay, moving on. So that should now not allow me to place finesse group. Yeah, cool.
Come on now, my little ants. You need space to grow.
Excellent. Okay, moving on, moving on. With the audio messages, Huff, it might be that some other more important message is played. Unless it's consistently not playing. Oh, no, you might be right. You might be right. There was a change we made to collision groups, which will have affected this. Okay, okay. Yeah, let's go have a look. Stage 2, 2, 1. Should definitely write logged on these because else Mike will log them after they've been fixed. Yeah, so the way this used to work was just there's a collision object, which as the ants pass through it, it checks the collision on it, and if an ant's colliding with it, it will play that message the first time. However, we did change the ants so they didn't collide with things. They hardly collide with anything. So it's a efficiency saving. And this is the collision object. Right, turn my audio on so I can hear what's going on. I'm not going to be able to fix this without audio. Oof. I know you've been able to hear my audio, but I haven't.
This Formica rufa wood ant queen has laid her first brood in a burrow near the sea. Her nest is just on the outskirts of the beach, a perfect vantage point for scavenging hapless morsels washed in by the tide. At the moment, the tide is out, but it won't stay that way. The ants must make haste and stockpile what they can, while they can. There is food to be found all over the beach, but the wood ants must be cautious and choose their trails carefully. Tiger beetles frequent the higher ground, and they will make quick work of any wood ant that strays too close.
Recently, we had a look at the size of our old creatures. The tiger beetles are too big, and the devil's coat horse adults are too small. Right, so they've passed through the collision object there, the trigger sphere there, but it hasn't triggered anything. Now, which I would totally expect. Okay, so here's where it's meant to trigger. So if the trigger sphere bind event to act to begin overlap, yeah, that won't work. That just simply won't work. So it's meant to be this, but that'll never work. I made an equivalent, which instead it actively checks if ants are over the top of it. But I can't remember what I called it. If, for example, these do it, so that should be one. So if it still likes it. No attack zone. Okay. It's creature overlapping. Get overlapping creatures. Okay. Okay, so the way we do it, triggered, yeah, trigger. The way we do it now. So this used to do it by binding it to it. However, what we actually need to do is so So it's just going to constantly check. This is the simplest way of doing this. Not the most efficient, but it's the simplest. And considering what this is, I don't think it matters. I'm going to give myself some more space. Oh, damn it. So we're going over each overlapping creature and doing this. Right, let's see if that works. Oh, it's already a creature. Of course it is. Skip that then. Um, I'm just changing this slightly so we break out of the loop. So I'll neaten this up in a minute. Just want to make sure it works first. Seeing these streams and seeing you working in UE4 with blocks really helps me better understand certain aspects of programming. I've built a bot that can make bot brains. It's not very good at it. A bot that makes bot brains. I've yet to find a way to make it build a new generation out of the previous. Infinite bot brains. Are you trying to create a Terminator? Machines creating machines. Skynet becomes sentient. Right, the level's just saving at the minute. Oh, it's one of the things you miss. See, only a veteran of the game would ever have noticed that went missing. Everyone else would have just assumed there was no audio there at that point. And there would have been an audio line missing from the game forever.
This Formica rufa wood ant queen has laid her first brood in a burrow near the sea. Her nest is just on the outskirts of the beach,
Sorry.
a perfect vantage point for scavenging hapless morsels washed in by the tide. At the moment, the tide is out, but it won't stay that way. The ants must make haste and stockpile what they can, while they can.
Oh, wait,
There is food to be found all over the beach,
wait.
but the wood ants must be cautious and choose their trails carefully. Tiger beetles frequent the higher ground, and they will make quick work of any wood ant that strays too close.
Okay, go. Speak to me, narrator. Give me the news.
There are other wood ants out here.
There we go.
They have also come to take advantage of the buffet provided by the sea. Territorial disputes will invariably favor the colony with the greater numbers.
Fabulous. Okay, let's neaten this up. Not level methods. Let's not neaten up my level methods. May level methods be messy forever. Okay. Yeah, that's neat enough. Shift find me. It's an amazing hack I use. I shove it in every level so I can search for the level. Okay. Right, once this is saved, we'll have a moment and take a look at the Fire Ant Queen model. That's done a lovely job. Actually, I haven't had a look at its animations properly yet, so we can have a nosy at those. So what I did see, I was taking a look at Matt's Fire Ant models, because he's done the Fire Ants as well. And he's got an animation in there that's meant for the Titans. So it's meant for them being mounted on the back of Titans. Climbing on the back of Titans. So the big creatures, like the Whip Spider. The Whip Spider is going to be a Titan. But it's a really nice animation. I'll have to show you that next week once we've revealed the model. Okay, so I'm just gonna set that up loading, and whilst it uploads, we'll take a look. Right, submitting those now. So let's Solenopsis imbricica. Right. Hello, tiny queen. Oh, isn't she cute? Should we see her flinch? There she goes. Look at her flinch. Flinch 2. Flinch 3. Oh, look at her pointy abdomen. That's like she's going, ah, 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 ah. Idle. I'll show you her in the world as well. There's a walk animation as well. That's actually has a specific use in one of the levels. So it's a very specific use. That it's actually for a cutscene. Right, violent intent. Good to have you with us. Die. Well, that's a dramatic death. She gives a jump. So yeah, that's Queenie. Let's stage 5, stage 4. Let's have a look then. On test level. Let's just test level. Rip in peace. Let's compare her to the Leafcutter Queen, shall we? Let me just yes, I should probably right. Just going through, just adding the queen to the map. Oh, this is good. This is good. Yeah. I know you love to see my lovely face, but I'll bring you back in now. Oh, you can see here's a preview of some things. Fire Ant Pervasive and Fire Ant Vigorous. Done. So here's the Leafcutter Queen, and here is the Fire Ant Queen. Mummy! I'm not your mummy. So yeah, there's quite a size difference. It might actually be, you know. Don't press that. The I can do it from here. Yep. Yeah, the worker is pretty much the same size as the queen. The level 3 worker, at least. Well, the level 3 attack. Obviously, we're gonna have the two classifications in ours. We're gonna have a worker and a soldier. But in reality, there's just workers, and they all do everything. And they have multiple queens in the nest. We weren't planning on doing multiple queens. Obviously, in reality, they do have, but not in the levels that we're doing. I mean, in reality as well, they don't necessarily have multiple queens. I did talk to Liam about this, and he was it was decided in the end that it would break our own game rules too much to have multiple queens at this point. I mean, we could do it, but it would require quite a chunk of work. And it's not necessary for the levels. But yeah, there's the Fire Ant Queen and all her queenly glory. Don't know if this will crash it because the Leafcutter Medea's decided to kill its own queen. Well, it's not its own queen, they're on different teams, aren't they? Oh, that was a little sneak preview at a Fire Ant there. I forgot I had a Fire Ant tile on this map. Traitor, he is indeed a traitor. Right. Let's have a quick look at the other issue Hoff has posted. extremist victory before all waves are defeated. Does that still happen? Okay, I will take a look at extremists next. I'm going to end the stream there. Give my voice a break. I think we'll end on a high with showing the Fire Ant Queen. Next week we can talk about the actual Fire Ants, because I believe their model will be shown, and I'll talk about their abilities and what the plan is with their abilities. You know some of it already, but we've gone over them and made some final decisions. So yeah, I'm gonna have a look at. Yeah, John desperately trying to avoid us seeing the Fire Ant. No, I don't want to show any. Obviously, it doesn't matter that much, but I don't want to show too much that hasn't been revealed yet, so we can slowly reveal them and talk about them. See, I've already added placeholders for most of the rest of the creatures in the game in, so it's trying not to show it. Yeah, this is all according to plan. Can they have a skin with actual fire? the burning ant queen. We need to do the skins actually. There's the one for the Formicoraptor that still needs to be. Should we have another look at that one? I think it's Myrmicoraptor. It's like the alternative model for it from the Kickstarter award. But I think, from what I remember, it's been put in a separate area because it's DLC. I should probably turn off engine stuff. Oh, I can't remember how to find it. Another time. Anyway. So Royal Jelly getting worker speed upgrades. You can get them going pretty quick, I think. So yeah, next week we'll be taking a further look at Fire Ants as well, whilst we continue work on these. I'm not sure what I'll be working on next week because this patch should be out, so it'll probably be maybe continuing some of the work on some of the other levels, or maybe doing some more balanced passes of things, depending on what comes up. So yeah, thanks very much for joining me. I don't expect me back on Friday because I'm spending most of my time currently updating, adding the new content for the Fire Ants. What I'm going to be working on. I'll talk about what people have been working on individually at the minute. So. Obviously, I've got to be a slightly coy about spoiler territory. So, I've currently been adding placeholders in the game for the upcoming creatures, and we've also been designing the upcoming creatures. We've got the basic design of all creatures now coming into the game, apart from a small amount of creatures which are only involved in the Formicarium challenges going forward. but everything else in the game has been basically designed to the extent where we've decided it's got low health, medium health, high health, which creatures they are, what abilities they've got. All that's been decided for the forthcoming creatures in the next 2 Formicarium tiers. So that'll bring us through to full release. And I've added placeholder creatures and stats in. So I've just copied and pasted creatures that are currently in the game and copied and pasted stats from creatures that are currently in the game. I will be going through the creatures now individually and implementing their stats, right, changing their stats to what they should be, and giving them their abilities. Some of the abilities are going to require some proper development because the systems aren't in place for those abilities to work yet. Particularly things like there's going to be some reptiles going forward. Those will have some things that needs to happen with them, and larger arachnids and that sort of thing. So that's what I'm working on at the minute, and will be working on for quite some time. He's working on the individual creatures. Liam has been we've got plans for all the coming levels, and he's now drafting out the maps in the editor. So he's basically putting the surfaces together for the various maps. He's not touching the underground particularly at the minute, but he's putting the surfaces together to make sure what we have planned makes sense and works within the space that we've got. So Liam's been doing that, and I've noticed he's got 4-1, 4-2 and 5-1. The basic map layout for those, and I think he's happy with those. With 4-2 he did about 4 or 5 different iterations of the map, so he redid it 4 or 5 times because it didn't fit with what he needed. Matt has been working on obviously the Fire Ant model, so the Fire Ant Queen and its animations, and the Fire Ants themselves and their animations. He's now continuing work on Fire Ants, and he mentioned this morning that he's currently working on Fire Ant bridges. So he's having a bit of trouble with Fire Ant bridges. They're giving him a bit of a headache. We've come up with how we want the Fire Ant bridge mechanic to work, and planned how it should fit in with the engine. However, there were a few things to do with when we're in the planning stage. There's a few things that we kind of labelled as nice to haves, which is like the Fire Ant bridge bobbing and swaying with currents. So I'm guessing Matt's working on those things. They're things that can be abandoned if necessary, but would be really nice to make the bridges look alive. So Matt's working on the Fire Ant bridges at the minute. Then he'll be carrying on work on the next creatures. He hasn't started work on the other creatures yet in the Fire Ant levels, but he'll be doing that after the bridges is my guess. I think he wants to get the bridges done before he moves on with that. So yeah, that's where we sit at the minute. Thanks very much for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed the stream, and I should be back next week. Same message as I gave last week though, just be aware that I'm expecting a new child in my family very soon, as in the due date is like less than a week away. So if I'm not here next week, that will be why. And if that's the case, I'll be gone for 2 weeks because I'll be on my paternity leave. So yeah, until next Wednesday, thanks very much for joining me, and I will see you next time. And of course, yeah, stay safe everyone in these weird times. Computer games at least still work. Yeah. See you later.